Hello and welcome everyone to our 79th episode of The Little Inside. Surprisingly, my name is still Tobi, and this week we are going to have a look at some head movies and truth. So let's get started right after the intro. When was the last time that you watched a movie? Have you noticed that when you're watching a movie, that there is this tendency of getting lost in the movie? That means you're basically forgetting that you're sitting in a room, that you're staring at the flat screen, or that you're sitting in a cinema and you're staring at that big screen, and you forget that it's just a display of light in front of you and some sound and speakers around you, that you're sitting even together with other people in this room. We completely forget that. And noticing even that our body becomes like really tense. Like you have this very intense action scene and there's a car chase going on, and you notice like the body becomes very intense. You're holding onto your seat, you're grabbing your drink, you kind of just mindlessly eat your popcorn, hope that they make it. And you don't even know how the popcorn tastes. You don't know that you're eating the popcorn. It's just this kind of automatic thing. The hand is just feeding the popcorn into the mouth while the mind is completely, utterly absorbed in the movie. So we usually go to movies because we like the buildup of tension that arises when there is a problem. And then what we like about it is the solution that comes with it. It leaves us feeling, he made it, or he didn't die, or they finally got together in the end of the movie, or something like that. So we want to go to these movies because they stimulate something inside of us, namely just the experience of tension and release. Now, if you have noticed, that's the kind of the same thing that goes on in our own mind already throughout most of the day. You will notice that your head is almost like a cinema projector, and it projects movies. It projects various movies like thoughts, storylines, and it shows you what's going to happen to you in your life, for example. It goes through various options of what might happen to you in your life. Say, let's take the horror movie option. So what if I get involved in a car accident and I become paralyzed and my insurance doesn't pay? And oh my God, yeah, that would be horrible. That would be absolutely terrible. And then you notice how the emotional background music comes on. It makes you feel sick in the stomach. It makes you feel bad. There's this whole negative vibe creeping up in your being. So that's the emotional background music to the thought projection, to this movie that's right now going on. In reality, you might be just sitting in a coffee shop, having a cup of coffee, staring out of the window. Seemingly for everyone outside, you're totally normal. Everything's fine with you. You're just sitting there having a cup of coffee, looking out of the window. But inside of you, there's a whole horror movie going on of you getting paralyzed, your insurance not paying, then your whole family, they have to pay so much money for you. And then I'll be in the wheelchair. How will I be able to? And it goes on and on and on and on. One thought leading to the next. If you notice also the genre of certain thoughts can be very self-supporting. So horror movie, if you're very used to horror movie thoughts, then there will be very likely that there are quite a lot of horror movies that play in in the Netflix of your head. So Netflix has this feature where you can actually like a certain movie, and then they show you movies that are similar to what you like, right? And so your head is very much the same, and actually it presents you with similar movies that you buy into. And if you're buying into those horror movies of what might happen to you and into these horrific emotions that come out of those, then you get served more and more and more of these movies. Now, knowing that brings you to the next step. It makes you feel like, oh, I wonder if I can observe that. if I can observe myself getting lost in my own horror movies in my head. I suggest this very nice little practice. We all like watching movies, at least most of us kind of like watching movies. Now, if you watch a movie, the next time you watch it, before you watch it, shape the intention that you really want to stay awake during the movie, that you don't want to get lost in the movie, but that you want to continuously know what's going on. So that means that you continuously, throughout the entire movie, know that you're just watching a movie. And each time that you're getting caught up, you feel it when your emotions kick in, when the physical tension kicks in. So a good anchor, actually, to know whether you're caught up in the movie or not is your physical level of tension. So there has to be part of your awareness that rests within your body throughout the entire movie. So you're watching the movie while at the same time having part of your attention resting throughout the body, making sure that your body is nice and relaxed. And you will notice as soon as you get caught up in the movie, it comes with physical tension. Your belly tenses up, your chest tenses up, your shoulders come up, maybe your heads hold on to the blanket or the chair on which you're sitting. Notice these little signs. You've just forgotten that you are just watching a movie. And train yourself like that. Every time you're watching a movie, you can train yourself like this. It's a very, very fun thing to do. Actually training yourself to stay above the movie, enjoying the movie from above, instead of enjoying the movie from within the movie. So that's a different position. I'm not saying, well, don't enjoy the movie. I'm saying enjoy it from a different perspective. A perspective of awareness. It's a very different perspective, which will lead to an understanding, a deeper understanding of the mechanics of your own mind. Because our own mind is an amazing director. It serves you all those movies that really resonate with you. And for some people, it's predominantly happy movies. For other people, it's predominantly sad movies. For yet others, it's comedies all the time and so forth. There's a different kind of mind movies going on within each one of us. And if you start to become aware of those mind movies, it's a little waking up. It's almost like for the first time you become unplugged. You see yourself. There's a moment of self-awareness. Wow, I'm totally lost within a stream of surreal thoughts. I'm totally lost within that very negative tone of thinking. And I was lost to such a degree that I reacted to it with negative emotion. And we're tuning into that whole orchestra. We're giving it so much power. At the same time, we're losing so much power to all these movies continuously. So the first step to actually understanding truth is by becoming aware that your head movies are just that, head movies. Now you might ask yourself, well, there are good movies, there are skillful movies, movies that lead to a nice, fulfilling, happy life. And there are those movies that lead to a really negative, painful, fearful life. And then there's the option of seeing just movies. So it's kind of three options. Good movies, bad movies, and just movies. The third option here, just movies, this comes from the perspective of awareness. You've thoroughly understood that what plays in your head up there is just something that plays in your head up there. It's not the truth, right? But when we get lost in these movies, it very much appears as if it was the truth. When I see my neighbor and I don't like him or her, I go like, well, that's an idiot. Now, that's a head movie. I've seen another being, another person, and within the cinema of my head, it turns into this, he turns into the enemy, the bad guy, who is through and through a gangster, someone I cannot trust, someone that needs to be gotten rid of, and I need to do everything I can to get rid of them. And so I am that hero that must get rid of the bad ways of my neighbor, or even I must get rid of my neighbor. Maybe I should move. Maybe I should confront my neighbor. Maybe I should fight with my neighbor. And then we get really lost in these movies. Next time when I see him, I will give him this look. I will look at the neighbor like this. Who do you think you are? Or I'm going to say something to him. Nice day today. And if he doesn't answer, then I will know that he's really and truly an evil person. And then you go and you say, hello, good morning. How are you doing? And he doesn't answer. Yes, confirmed. He's really a bad and evil person. And so our thoughts, they create this whole being out of your neighbor that isn't really there. And it's important to see the difference from your own projections and the reality of your neighbor. I'm not saying remain passive. When your neighbor is being nasty with you, or is misbehaving, or disturbing your sleep at night, or something like this, yeah, sure, you're going to either have to talk with him or move somewhere else, or whatever there is. If you can do something about a bad situation, sure, do something about it. But having suffering inside of your own being 24/7 about that situation, going through scenarios, future, past, blah, blah, that doesn't help the solution. The solution is simple. It requires a few simple action steps, maybe a few thoughts. So here's what I'm going to do. You do it. Does it work? Well, if it works, great. If it doesn't, okay, let's try another thing. But all the other noise around it that we usually carry around, all the anger, the frustration, the depression, the sadness, all that, it's just you hurting yourself, because you can't find a distance from your own projections and your own movies. So it's really worthwhile thing to train that. And the first step of training is seeing into the truth of it. Seeing that, oh, thinking, all right, my mind is thinking right now. And that's all that this is. It's just thinking. And in the beginning, this is going to be a bit difficult. You might feel like, well, but that thought is really relevant and it's really important and it's really true. Then you need to learn to catch yourself again, seeing, okay, another thought, relevant, important, true. Let's see what the mind comes up with next. You can encourage your mind to think. And for that, I really recommend you to take some time each day where you sit down quietly, you practice your meditation technique, and then you observe the way your mind thinks, the way your mind creates movies, without interfering, just simply observing it from a detached perspective, knowing it for what it is. Here the mind fabricates, it creates movies, finding a bit of a distance there. Just once a day, maybe twice a day. Just getting a little bit playfully into the habit of observing the way your mind works, understanding the mechanics of it. It gives you an advantage. If you understand the way your mind works, you're in a position where you can make it work for you. And you can let go of all that stuff that it does, which is harming yourself and others around you. So this is pretty much all that comes to mind concerning head movies and truth. I hope that was inspiring in some way, and I hope also that the exercises that I've mentioned will give you something fun to do. I always think it's important to have some fun with the practice. If you're not having any fun with your practice at all, then that's usually not really a good sign. So it would be important to integrate your spiritual practice into the things that you already do, integrating awareness, integrating the quality of knowing, observing yourself, getting to know the mechanics of your mind, your emotions, your feelings, and so forth. Then understanding how to find a place within yourself that gives you some rest, in which you can actually find some happiness and peace, regardless of the storm that goes on in your mind or in your emotional being. You can find some rest within your center. So now, if you do have any questions concerning that topic, if you found that useful, then please write them down in the comment section below. I'm always happy to read your questions, try to answer all of them. And, For now, I wish all of you a wonderful next week. I'm looking forward to see you all again next Wednesday for more Head Movies. Bye-bye.